Hi everyone, welcome to Technology World Hub. My name is Anil. In this Playwright series, we are going to discuss creating browser contexts and pages. What is a browser context? A browser context in Playwright is like an incognito browser window. So browser context is like incognito browser window. Each context runs in complete isolation from others like cookies, storage, sessions, cache, etc. Okay, all are unique. You can create multiple browser contexts within a single browser instance to run tests in parallel, simulate multiple users or sessions, save system resources compared to launching multiple browsers. Okay. Basically what we will do, multiple browser contexts we will create using single browser. Okay, that is browser context. What is a page? A page is equivalent to a browser tab inside a context. Page is a browser tab basically. Each context can have multiple pages and you can interact with them independently. Okay, browser context is incognito browser. Page is just like tab. That means one browser context have multiple pages. Okay. Creating browser contexts and pages. Let's say we'll discuss one example. Okay, let's discuss the example. Okay, so here, 1 minute. Let's say create one class, public class browser context example. Public static void main string as yes. Playwright is equal to playwright.create. Launch browser, that is headless, is equal to false, means visible. Let's say browser is equal to playwright.chromium.launch. New browser type dot launch options dot headless false. Okay, so we are opening the browser in headed mode. Okay, that means UI will be visible. Okay, 1 minute guys. Yeah, so 1 second. So basically browser UI will be visible here. Okay, then next we will create fast browser context. So browser context 1 is equal to browser dot new context. Okay, that's how we will create the context. Browser context 1 is equal to browser dot new context. Page 1 is equal to context 1 dot new page. Then page 1 dot navigate https://www.google.com. System.out.println context 1 page title, page 1 dot title. Okay, this is for context 1 page title. Okay, then next let's create one more context. How will do that? Browser context 2 is equal to browser dot new context. Just will change the name, context 1 to context 2. Then page 2 is equal to context 2 dot new page. Then page 2 dot navigate https://www.bing.com. let's say. Then system.out.println context 2 page title, page 2 dot title. Then we will close all the contexts. So close all, context.1.close, context2.close, browser.close, close all basically. Okay, let's create one program. Okay, let's create one Java class. Let's say browser context test, suppose. Okay, let's create here one minute. Let's create one main method. Okay, then in that let's create playwright is equal to playwright dot create. Okay, then browser, let's say browser is equal to, let's say browser browser equal to playwright dot, let's say chromium dot, let's say launch. Then in that we'll create new browser type dot launch options, then dot set headless, let's say false. We want headed mode, that is UI should be visible. Okay, after that let's create first browser context. Okay, so let's write down create first browser context. Okay, so here I will write down, we'll write down browser context. Okay, let's say context1 is equal to browser dot new context. Okay, then what we'll do, we'll just write down page is equal to context1 dot new page. Okay, understood? Then we write down page dot navigate. Okay, instead of that we can also navigate using, okay, so what we can do, that should be fine, not an issue, similar way. Okay, page dot navigate, then just will write down https://www.google.com. okay, https://www.google.com. okay, then we'll just print the title. So here you can write down context1 title is which one? Page dot title. Okay, here it will return the context1 title. Okay, just like here what we did, context1 page title, basically context1 page title, sorry, context1 page title is which one? Plus page dot title. Okay, then let's create the second browser context. Okay, how will I write down browser context context 2 is equal to browser dot new context. Okay, then what we'll do, we'll write down page, let's say page 1 is equal to which one, context 2 dot new page. Then page 1 dot navigate, let's say https://bing.com. Okay, let's navigate to, one second, yeah, bing.com. Now write down system.out.println, and here we write down context 2, okay, page title, context 2 page title is plus page 1, okay, here it will be page 1 dot title. Okay, so that's how it will show the context 2 page title. Okay, let's run this and we'll see the result. Basically it will open two browser contexts. In that, for one it will open google.com and it will print the title, and for another one it will open bing.com and it will print the title. Okay, okay, let's see the console output. Yeah, perfect, absolutely working fine. One is Google, if you will see, one is Google, title is Google, and for another one, title is search Microsoft Bing. Okay, search Microsoft Bing, absolutely working fine. Okay, after that you can just close all the context. Let's say context 1 dot close and context 2 dot close. 1 minute. Then Playwright dot close. Okay, that's how. Understood? Yeah, it will close. Let's run one more time. So basically it will close that. Hold on, it will open two browser contexts of Chromium, and in one it will go to google.com, navigate to google.com, and it will yeah, see, quickly it did. Basically see, it open Google. In context 1 it open Google and get the title. Context 2 it open bing.com and get the title and close the browser and close the Playwright. Okay, that's how it is. Next it would be why we use browser context instead of multiple browsers. Okay, speed. Browser context will be faster new browser instance will be slower. Okay. Memory usage, browser context low because shared engine. New browser instance high. Isolation full, cookies, storage, etc. New browser instance, that is also full isolation. Use case, multiple users in same test, separate browsers sessions entirely. Okay, let's say multiple users in same test, separate browser sessions entirely, because all the browser sessions are separate, correct, because all are private. Okay, kind of incognito browsers. Okay, next, real world example use case. Imagine testing an e-commerce checkout flow for two users simultaneously. User A logs in and adds items to cart. User B logs in independently. Using two browser contexts, you can simulate both users in parallel without conflicts, creating multiple pages in one context. You can open multiple tabs in the same session. Browser is equal to, let's say, playwright.chromium.launch. Then browser context is equal to browser.new context. Let's say first tab, page tab 1. Is equal to context.new page. Tab 1.navigate https://example.com. Second tab, page 2, tab 2 is equal to context.new page. Tab 2.navigate https://google.com. System.out.println, two tabs opened in one context. And browser.close. Both pages share cookies, local storage and login sessions. Okay. What is the summary table? Concept: browser, Playwright class, browser, analogy Chrome, Firefox, isolation level, shared across contexts. Browser is shared across contexts. Context, browser context, incognito window. These are incognito window. Isolated browser is real browser, Chrome, Firefox. Browser context is incognito window, isolated cookies, storage. Page, that is page. Browser tab, these are tabs, basically pages, page are browser tab. Shared within context, so one context has multiple pages. In short, browser, actual browser, Chromium, Firefox, WebKit. Browser context, independent user session like incognito. Page, a tab within that context. Okay. So basically what we understand, browser is the real browser, Chromium, Firefox, WebKit. Browser context is the incognito session of a particular browser, and page means a tab within that context. Okay. Next, understanding page, browser context objects. Okay. The core Playwright object hierarchy. Playwright follows this logical object model. That is Playwright, then browser context, then page. Playwright, the manager who opens and controls browsers. Browser, a browser application, that is Chrome, Firefox, Safari. Browser context, a private or incognito window. Page, a single tab within that window. Okay. Let's do detailed explanation. Playwright object, the entry point to use all Playwright APIs. Okay. Using Playwright object, we usually use, this is the entry point to use all Playwright APIs. You create it once using playwright.create. Manages all supported browsers, Chromium, Firefox, WebKit. It manages all supported browsers. Playwright, how we create Playwright object? Playwright is playwright dot create. Okay, basically this is the entry point to all Playwright APIs. You create it once using Playwright dot create. Manages all supported browsers: Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, etc. Then browser object. Then browser object. Browser object represents an actual browser instance, like opening Chrome manually. Okay, browser object means represents an actual browser instance, like opening Chrome manually. Created using playwright.chromium.launch or Firefox or WebKit, anything. If you want to open Chromium, just put Chromium. If you want to use Firefox, just use playwright.firefox, like that, .launch. Or if you want to open WebKit, then playwright.webkit.launch. Okay. Then heavy object. Launching multiple browsers consumes more resources. You can create multiple contexts inside one browser. Okay. Launching multiple browsers consumes more resources. Definitely, we understand earlier that if we open multiple browsers, it will consume more resources. You can create multiple contexts inside one browser instead of that. Okay, it is a kind of private browser, incognito mode. Browser is equal to playwright.chromium.launch new browser type .launch options .set headless false. Okay. Then browser context object. Basically, we create the browser this way. Browser is equal to playwright.chromium.launch. So what it will do? It will just open Chromium browser and new browser type .launch options .set headless false. So it will open in UI mode. Then browser context object. Okay. Think of this as a separate user profile, like Chromium incognito. Each context is isolated. Separate cookies, sessions, cache, local storage. Okay. Each context is isolated. Faster and more memory efficient than launching multiple browsers. Browser context is equal to browser.new context. That's how we create the browser context. You can have multiple contexts in one browser, each context having multiple pages. Then page object represents a tab inside the context. Page object, it represents a tab inside the context. You interact with web elements using methods like .click, .fill, .locator, .text content, etc. Page is equal to context.new page. Page.navigate, we usually navigate to the particular page. Then page.click, login. So that's how we create page object. Okay, page is just a tab. Using that we interact with web elements. Okay, using methods like .click, .fill, .locator, text context, etc. So how we create page object? Page is equal to context.new page. Page.navigate, we usually navigate to one particular URL. Then page.click, login button. Okay. Then complete example, hierarchy in action. Let's say create one complete example. Public class playwright hierarchy example. Public static void main string args. Playwright is equal to playwright.create. Launch the browser. Browser is equal to playwright.chromium.launch new browser type .launch options .set headless false. Then create an isolated browser context like incognito. Browser context is equal to browser.new context. Create a new page, the tab inside the context. Page is equal to context.new page. Page.navigate https://www.google.com system.out.println page title : plus page.title. Then clean up context.close browser.close. Okay, that's how you can write down the program. I think already we covered this in the earlier series. I highly recommend whoever not attend that series, please go back and check that. Yeah, that's how we do. That's how we create Playwright object, browser object, browser context object, page objects. Okay. In summary table, Playwright, this is the root controller of all browsers. Usage scope is global and isolation level is none. Example, playwright.create. Browser, the actual browser instance. Usage scope high level. Isolation level shared. Playwright.chromium.launch. Then browser context, independent user sessions like incognito. Usage scope medium. Isolation level full isolation. Browser.new context, for example. Page, browser tab within context. Usage scope low. Shared within context. Page is shared within context. Context.new page. Okay. Reuse the same browser instance across tests. It's faster. So basically, what is the best practice? So you reuse the same browser instance across tests, which is faster. Create a new context per test. Ensure isolation between test cases. Create pages as needed. Open or close them dynamically. Close everything properly to avoid memory leaks. Okay. Usually close everything to avoid memory leaks, like closing the browser, closing the Playwright, whatever may be. Okay. Then let's discuss one real world usage example. When running multiple test cases, you create one browser. For each test, you create a new browser context to ensure isolation. Each test uses a page to perform actions. Okay. Let's say before class, public void setup, playwright is equal to playwright.create, browser is equal to playwright.chromium.launch, new browser type.launch options dot set headless true. Before method. First one was before class, then before method. Public void create context and page. Context is equal to browser.new context, page is equal to context.new page. Okay. After method will be context.close, and after class browser.close, playwright.close. That's how it is. Okay. Understood? Before class, before method, and after class. Okay. So in short, we can tell that Playwright acts like a manager which controls browser. Browser acts like a app, opens browsers like real browsers, Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, etc. Browser context, it is a incognito window, isolated sessions for testing. Page, it is a browser tab, interacts with UI elements. Okay, that's it for this session, guys. I will come up with the new series, new topic. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Please like it, subscribe the channel, share with your friends and family. If you have anything, you can put it in the comment box. I will reply you. Thank you so much, guys.